Ladies and gentlemen, I have a surprising guest with me today, Mr. Nathan Gershon. Welcome to Happy House.
Man, it's just fantastic to be here, Gus.
What brings you here to LA?
Well, your listeners are going to get a lot of background on you because I've known you since you were a kid.
I was 13 years old when I met Nathan.
Yeah, 1990 would have been. Gus and I both went to military boarding school in San Marcos, Texas, the San Marcos Academy. And as horrible as that sounds, and it occasionally was, it was mostly a good experience.
Yes, in retrospect, it was definitely a great experience. I actually felt that the academy prepared me more for life than what university did.
I've done a lot of university educating off and on over the years, even a few good ones and some bad ones. And the academy was definitely a bigger experience. I did 7 years there. You know, make it sound like time down in prison. I did 7 years, and I think you did 5.
I did five.
I went from going to public school to living with 300 of my best friends overnight, which that's what happens. And I was a year ahead of you, and you and I weren't particularly close back then, but I've been watching
But I had mad respect for you, though.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you. I have a fan. Because of social media, and I joke with people, social media has done away with the need for the high school reunion because I'm watching these people's lives evolve every day. I've been watching the things you've been doing since the MySpace days, and I was like, man, Gus is the one of us that's making it. You were in New York at the time.
That's right. I was definitely in New York.
I stayed in San Marcos after we graduated. I bounced around in school a little bit, and Jason Schnautz, who we lost a few years ago, another Academy graduate, dear friend, and Dave Carl, and to a lesser extent me, we did a little night clubbing there in San Marcos, and then Dave Carl and I moved to Arkansas, and I just went on this wild adventure for a number of years and landed back in Central Texas, and now, man, I'm out in L.A., part-time anyways, making movies, and
you're acting in these movies.
I am. I'm trying to catch up to you, Gus. I have been watching your life unfold for 20 years. Man, social media 20 years old. Is the internet 20 years old yet?
I don't even have a child, but that,
and I have a 14-year-old. And we were talking earlier. We went and sushi'd it up in L.A. and there was another Academy graduate that's become kind of big out here. So you and her were, out of all these people that we went to school with, people have done real well for themselves, but you became famous. You're our celebrity.
I've never actually met any other Academy graduate out here. I mean, there was a few people that have come out to visit, but no one's really come out here like me and Hillary.
I wasn't really close to Hillary either, but I remember thinking, I told people for years, she was in Roseanne, and I believe Honey Shrunk the Kids. She was one of the stars of the TV show.
Cap Nowhere.
She's had a career. So it's you and her, and I feel honored that I'm joining the Hollywood crew.
Three Musketeers. And what's been your experience like here, coming to LA?
So I'm not a stranger to LA. I've been coming to LA occasionally, rarely, since I was young, for various reasons. And Jason Schnautz, I was talking about the other Academy graduate that we lost about 10 years ago. He and I came out here one time and just touristed it up, on the Sunset Strip and Hollywood Boulevard. And
oh, yeah, that sounds fun.
We went to school with Nikki and Amy Burdick and their dad, who just passed away, and he was one of the most wonderful human beings that ever lived, and a mentor of mine. Was on a race team. He owned a company that raced vintage cars, and I came out here with them. And
my God, that sounds incredible.
Yeah. He was quite the tycoon, a captain of industry, and he used that to support a successful vintage race team. And in 1994, the year that I graduated, we came out here and started the race one year out in Huntington Beach. And that we were out here actually when the OJ chase occurred.
Oh my!
I was here in L.A.
Wow! And I was at the Academy when that happened.
You would have still been in Texas, and I was in L.A.
I was in summer school. I remember it was during the NBA Finals.
I was out
the white
here.
Bronco.
Yeah, the white Bronco, and I was out here when that happened. And anyways, we won't go into the OJ chase, but so that I've had some LA experiences over the years, and then last November I I had a different experience. I got to come out here and co-star in a movie, and it was my first co-starring role. It wasn't my first project, but it was, my first co-starring role. And the film's Robo Woman. It's in post-production now, and it has an incredible cast. And I was definitely the weakest link there. I was trying to play catch up to some phenomenal talent, and it's a Dustin Ferguson film. Working with Dustin's incredible. I mean, he is a phenomenal filmmaker, and it's in the grindhouse style. And he puts together a film, and he runs a set. It's just beautiful working with him, and the guy's just a genius.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm out here now. I'm starring in my second Dustin Ferguson film we're filming now, and this one's crazy. When he said, "Hey, I've got this role for you," it was a breakdown moment, because it's like, wow. So, and a lot of people are familiar with it. It's the 5th installment of the Meat Hook Massacre movies. The name is Meat Hook Massacre: The Final Chapter. And Dustin created this movie a number of years ago. He wrote and directed and created all the characters for the first movie. And then he did the second one, and then other directors did the third and the fourth one. And he's come back, and he wrote and he's directing, because we're still filming this one. And for the people who are, this series has had a comic book. It's had action figures. It's and of course the title character, the actual Meat Hook Massacre guy, is a fellow by the name of Robert Langford, and I just met him last week, and he's been in every film, and he's an incredibly scary guy. He's a big guy. He gets his head all shaved, and he wears the human skin mask. And as one might imagine, he's massacring people with a meat hook.
I mean, if you're going to be massacring people, you better wear something on your face.
He's a scary dude. And we've also been doing some behind the scenes production, and he's hosting that in a new video magazine that Dustin's putting out. And man, what an experience this has been, back out in Hollywood, co-starring in another movie. And, it's a little weird because, as there's this production cycle. People have an idea for a movie, and that point is a long ways away from now we're shooting the movie.
Yes.
And then once we start shooting the movie, well, that point's a long ways away from getting to show anybody a film. And I did a movie in Houston last year, Life Insurance Lottery, and it's a Chuck Norfolk film. And Chuck Norfolk was incredible to me. I mean, I have a very small role in it, and I ended up getting into maybe a few more scenes. Depending on how they edit it, I might not be in the movie at all, which is one way that happens. And there's a lot of talent around the country, not just in LA, and they're doing what they do out there in the non-LA world, making incredible films. And Life Insurance Lottery is an example of that. And Chuck Norfolk is an incredible filmmaker, and he's doing this. I'm very much so sure, and if Chuck hears this podcast, he might go, no, I'm a filmmaker first. But I mean, he works for a living, like a lot of people in this industry do. Right. And then as a passion, as an artist, he makes film, and he does it with his lovely wife. And he's just put out an incredible product, and that movie is in post-production. Robo Woman's in post-production. We're filming Meat Hook Massacre. Yeah.
And how does it feel to be like coming in from out of state to California, LA?
Well, every time I come,
did you, like a year ago, did you see yourself in this situation?
A year ago, I started to. You probably have to go back about 2.5 years when it wasn't much of a thought. Anybody listening to this knows me is going to start hearing some of my jokes over and over, but I was living in Mississippi, where I live now. My beautiful bride, Ruth Gershon, is out there, and she's a physician at the University of Mississippi Medical Center. And she's finishing her residency, and she's a brilliant physician and a wonderful friend, and she supports me. But I was stuck in Mississippi without much to do. I had taken on the role as Mississippi's ugliest trophy husband. And
so you took make-believe to a whole new level.
Well, I got so bored, I decided to become a movie star. I mean, I was so bored, and I needed something to do. And my wife's pushing me. It's like, "Are you going to do something?" My wife doesn't talk like that. That I was like, "Oh."
But that's probably what it felt like when you heard it.
It did, and I had an opportunity to do the Chuck Norfolk film, and then I met Dustin and got involved with Robo Woman, now Meat Hook Massacre, and some other projects I'm I'm signed on to appear. I'm probably not starring. Dustin's making a shark movie starring the amazing Brink Stevens,
Oh my
a very
goodness.
famous scream queen. Who she was at the San Fernando Valley Comic Con.
Can never go wrong with a shark movie.
I know. And if Dustin does it, it's probably, I haven't seen a script, and if Dustin was here, he'd tell me what to say. So I don't want to speak out of turn, but if Dustin's doing it, it's probably going to be different than what's out there right now.
All right.
He's going to do something completely unique, and people are going to go, oh, that's not what I was expecting, and that was awesome.
Now that you're swimming with the sharks in LA, what's next? What's coming after this?
Well, I mean, actually, so I'm in LA right now shooting Meat Hook Massacre 5, and one of the things I get to do when I'm out here is occasionally we have a break, or I'm not on that day's call sheets. I help with sound a little this morning. Dustin's taught me a little bit about sound. I didn't know anything about it.
And here we are.
Ladies and gentlemen. So I helped. We did a real quick scene today because we got the actor out today, and I helped with sound a little bit. And then my day's over, and they were going to film elsewhere. As a matter of fact, they're filming in the factory today from Child's Play 2. And there's some bands that are often do soundtracks for Dustin, and we've got a Velvet Acid Christ song in this one. And Velvet Acid Christ is a credible band. I got turned on to them last year. They're dropping a new album here soon, and if I'm off a little, like the album dropped last week and I missed it, I apologize. But we're shooting a music video for it, and this is going to be my first music video, and I'm playing an interesting character. And in the music videos you get flashed on screen for 5 seconds. Right. So I don't even know what that's going to look like when it's done, but man, so I'm be shooting that the next few days.
So you grew up in Texas,
yeah.
You lived in Mississippi. You went to Harvard?
I did. A little later in life, too. My wife moved to Boston a number of years ago when she first graduated medical school, and I kind of had to figure some things out. I was working as a police officer in Texas, and I still do part-time, which is a weird thing out in Hollywood. People don't know how to quite take that when they find out you're not that you were a cop.
That you're blue.
You're still a cop, and it's very important to me.
But you're a civilian in California.
Well, I'm not a cop in California. That is true. I'm a Texas cop, which doesn't mean a whole lot in California, I guess. But my wife was up in Boston, and I applied to a few graduate programs, and I got into Harvard. And believe me, no one was these things that keep happening to me. I'm kind of surprised too. Thank you. The universe is being very kind to me, so I keep looking very closely for buses that are going to run me over, something to make things yin and yang.
And what did you study at Harvard?
I got two academic titles from Harvard. I got a graduate certificate in legal studies from Harvard, and Mazel Tov. That's right. And if my grandparents who raised me were alive, they would literally be walking down the streets with a sign and a bell. My two Jewish grandparents going, oh, look at what my grandson did. And then a master's in journalism from Harvard University.
That's amazing.
I think I'm living proof that their standards are lower now. But it was a wonderful experience. Boston's an incredible place, except for the winters.
Yes, I can attest to East Coast winters. I'm not a fan.
Well, you were in New York for 8 years, I think.
And for half of those years, I would come out to LA for the winters. I would just be bi-coastal because I could not hang in those winters.
I was kind of stuck in Boston for some winter time, and I don't mind cold weather, but I'm from the South, so I didn't really know what cold weather was.
Right.
I learned. That's when we went to Mississippi, and I kind of fell into a funk, almost depressed. My wife was doing all these incredible things in her training as a young doctor. And I would listen to her tell me, about the procedures she's doing and these incredible accomplishments. And I'm sitting in there sleeping till noon, going to the gym, playing with the dog, driving around.
So you're a civilian in Mississippi as well.
Yeah, no, I still drive back to Texas to work at my police department.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's another part of my life.
San Antonio is a big part of my life. I lived in San Antonio for 8 years. I worked at the medical school in San Antonio. Technically, I was the state employee.
Yeah.
So I was a government employee. And that's where I began to make films, was in San Antonio. And eventually I had to come out to LA, New York, and just, jump in.
Well,
jump into the ballyhoo.
I did a little theater when I was young, and of course I believe we both had Carolyn Goss.
Yes,
and,
we had the same drama teacher.
She was a wonderful human being. She might not have cared for me because I was a difficult child. But we have that in common. So, people like her in schools across America, they give kids, if they don't give them the passion, they plant a seed.
Exactly.
I never got it out of me. I did plays before I went. I did plays when I was, even before I went to the academy, which I was in 6th grade when I went away to military school. And then, you graduate and you go to college, you work, you get married, kids, and you become a cop, you become a plumber, you become a doctor, lawyer, ditch digger, and the dream dies.
And going back to that moment, you're in Mississippi, you're bored, you've gone to Harvard, you're a police officer, but yet there's something tugging away. And
yeah, I was
what
looking.
Pulled you out?
I was looking for an opportunity. I had a friend that I only knew from online, and he was a theater guy in Dallas. And I'm not going to mention names here today, but maybe another time. But he got cast as an iconic character in a movie. And he had some screen credits. He'd been in a movie here and there, but the guy's a real talented theater guy. And he gets cast in a movie that I'm a big fan of. It's a Part 47 kind of deal. No, I mean, it's there's a lot of movies out there that they're at like Part 10. And I kind of reached out to him a little bit, and we talked, and his story's kind of inspiring. And he's an actor, he's a theater guy in Dallas, and next thing you know, he's an icon. And the movie was fantastic.
Wow!
And his portrayal was fantastic. I think it was a lot better than anyone thought. Expectations were low, and they would have exceeded high expectations, and it kind of inspired me. Not that I'm as good as this guy. This guy's really handsome and talented and experienced. I'm sitting in Mississippi, waiting for my wife to come home. And, I because of him, I started reaching out to some people around, and I was like, you can't make anything happen until you make things happen.
Right. It takes energy to
it takes so much effort. And sitting around, I had a lot of time, and I'm a hyper guy. I'm a bounce off the walls guy. If you ever see me calm on camera, it's acting. It takes everything I have to slow down. Slamming monsters and just, that's my natural speed. And, started reaching out to people. There's a lot of filmmakers out there, and it's Chuck Norfolk in Houston, and that's not too far from where I'm in Mississippi. Mississippi has film being made, but not much. There's not much of a film industry there. But there are some wonderful people trying and a few succeeding. But got my little role in Chuck's film. And, man, it felt good to be on set. And that feeling,
So there's nothing like it.
It's... The expression I hadn't heard in a long, long time, set life. And when we were kids, we were talking about this today. Clint Eastwood came to town.
That's right. He shot A
Perfect World. Exactly.
Clint
Eastwood, Kevin Costner. So I was 17 years old. And you were at the Academy at the time.
Yes, I was.
So,
and I remember hearing about it, but I never made it to that set.
Well, and we did. But by that time, I was no longer a boarding student. My family had moved to the town where the military school was, so I became a day student. I didn't live there anymore. I still went there, though, for school and all the military drilling and everything.
Right.
So a lot of us that were day students had joined the fire department, volunteer fire department.
That.
Yeah, I mean, there's a picture in my senior yearbook, myself and a good friend of mine, Alan Cummins, with our fire uniforms on next to trucks with lights on them. And, you could do that back then. I don't think they let kids do that anymore because we were 16, 17 years old putting out fires. This was a kind of rural area. Clint Eastwood came to town to make a movie. And they
legendary.
The legendary. And they hired a lot of us, and we were kids. And I still have my Warner Brothers paycheck. And I'll tell you a great IMDb story about that. They hired us to watch all the stuff at night in the yards. Warner Brothers is paying us to sit and watch a yard full of lights and generators. Just, there's a big budget production has so much stuff.
Yes.
The culmination of that story is I walk into the craft service tent, and they let us watch some filming, and they were doing some car chases. And I walk into the craft service tent. A lot of seats in there. There's a lot of people standing. We get to go eat. and there's one empty seat in the whole place. It's next to Clint Eastwood. And I'm not the shy kind. And I walk right over and I look down at him and I was like, hey, can I sit here? And I'm a 17-year-old kid. And he looks me dead in the eyes. And Clint Eastwood is Clint Eastwood. There's just no other way to put that. He's not a character actor. He's just Clint in every movie. You know, Clint's cowboy now. Clint's an astronaut now. And it works. And he looks me dead in the eyes and he's like, go ahead, kid. Have a seat. And I melted into that chair. And, you know, I mean, he was a busy guy. 100 people a minute are coming to whisper things in his ear. But he gave me, 2-3 minutes worth of attention. It was just a fabulous moment. It was an incredible moment. It's Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
And he was there with Sandra Locke. And Clint Eastwood was across from us, but I didn't get to get his attention. And I ate my food and I left and I floated for a week. And when I got my first IMDb credit about 2 years ago, my IMDb page needs to be updated. I had that pay stub from Warner Brothers, A Perfect World.
Wow.
And I looked it up and I looked at the process of how you add yourself to credits. Because this thing was filmed in 94.
Yeah.
So 94, and there's like these credits are closed. But it said, that credits can be opened under extraordinary circumstances and you need proof.
Right.
And I had this pay stub, and I went in there, and I went through the whole process. And yeah, on my IMDb page, I have a credit on The Perfect World listed under miscellaneous crew as security because I kept that stub for 20 years.
Oh my goodness, that's incredible.
Yeah. And here I am.
And
back
now
in
here
LA.
you are.
I know, and it was, we missed each other in November when I was filming Robo-Woman, but I kept texting. I'm like, I can't come today. I'm on set. I'm on set. And today I had the day off, and I had to go get my own wardrobe for this music video. And listen, when you're not doing A movies, you're your own makeup guy, wardrobe guy, hair guy.
But it's still great because it's a rite of passage, and you're working for your dreams. So it's incredible.
It's dreamy, the set life. And being on set's just fun. Filming sometimes can get a little tedious because you do the same shot.
Right.
Oh God, we got Mike Shadow.
It's a lot of repetitive work. Hurry up and wait.
Yep. Everybody has to shut up. You're moving the deck. You're, boom shadow everywhere.
But that's one thing about what I love about this business is that it's not like a doctor. A doctor has a certain path that they have to follow. A lawyer has to have a certain path that they have to follow. Here, you and I, as kids, we're in the same military school, and then we go off and live our lives. You become a police officer. I go to New York. You go to Boston, and now we both lived for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And we ended up in the same spot.
I know. Well, I'm still playing catch up to you guys.
Right, but I mean,
oh, right.
Like physically, we're in the same spot.
I know.
I know. We're both in LA.
I know, and
working in the world of spectacles.
I know the entertainment industry.
Exactly.
It's unreal.
It's like we took different paths, but we made it to the same place.
It's unreal. Now for 10 years or 20 years or whatever the length of time that social media is out there, 80% of the people on my page have been academy graduates,
right.
A couple hundred people that I went to this military boarding school with. And now, it's 50% actors and sound guys and, people in this industry. And I've worked with them. Although, you start getting people, I'm not there yet because I could walk down any street of America for an hour and nobody knows who I am because I just don't have content out there yet. But, it may be time to start a fan page because I'm getting requests from people I don't know. But you meet people, and I'm watching social media of my actor friends, and half of them are out here. A lot of the people that I worked with in Houston as a nobody, like a guy who said a line in a movie, but these guys were the stars. But I'm starting to meet a lot of people out here, and you add them to your social media. And the other night at the Oscars, I see a friend that I was in my last movie with posting from the red carpet. I'm at the Oscars. Fantastic actor, and he's got some stuff coming out. And here he is at the Oscars. I'm like, I was in a movie with that guy, and he's walking the red carpet. And I'm telling my wife, and again, my wife's maybe my only fan, certainly my biggest fan.
I'm your fan too.
Well, thanks, Gus. I've been watching the things you're doing, the creativity coming from you, and we have to talk about your dog.
Oh,
and
yes.
I, by the way, I'm not here for you today. I was here.
I'm the plus one.
Yeah, you're the plus one. You have an Instagram account for this magnificent animal that's your fur baby. And
Lola of Los Feliz.
Lola of Los Feliz. Gotta give it the plug, and it's worth it. Go like it. I wanted to get a picture to make it to that account.
Yes.
We did that today.
We did that
So,
today.
yeah, how cool is that?
It took for you to go to Boston and back, and me to go to New York and back for you to get this picture
to
20
come
years
to
later.
this point. Listen, I kind of try to do the math, and I think, there's probably in the United States 1 million people trying to do the things we're doing.
Right.
And, there's different levels of making it. And I feel like I'm on a track. I'm certainly having the time of my life. It's and there's other things I want to do. As I get out here more and more, I'd like to write. It'd be wonderful to write something and see it made, because it's storytelling. That's what we're doing.
Exactly. We're playing make believe, storytelling.
If you've ever sat next to a guy in a bar and he told you a story, we're doing the same thing. We're just committing it to a specific medium.
Yeah, we're doing it right now.
We're doing it right now. The camera it records a story, and some stories are better than others, but it's such a fun process.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So what have you got? You're sitting
Oh,
here,
man.
and I listen. Nobody's listening anymore. So why don't you talk, Gus?
Oh man, I got a comedy in the works. I have a feature in the works, and right now this podcast I'm putting together.
Can I talk about the trailer I saw?
Yeah.
Man, so Gus and I haven't seen each other, and we think it's about 18 years since Catherine Schultz died.
Yes.
And she was an amazing woman. So this is our reunion, and I got to see a trailer for a new movie that I think you wrote and produced.
I co-wrote it with Judy,
who I met earlier. She's a magnificent woman,
and I directed it.
It's wonderful. I watched it, I clapped, and I'm going to see it. And I think everybody else should too.
I'm actually going to send Nathan an advanced link so you can check it out. Maybe you can watch it on the plane home.
Well, living in Mississippi, I got to go to Atlanta to get home. So I got to fly cross country to get back to kind of the middle.
Gotcha.
Well,
I'm going to keep up with you, and I'm going to keep up and see what you're doing, and maybe one day you and I will be on set together.
Oh man, that would be fantastic.
That would be
I
nice.
Just love that.
That would be great.
This is too much. Listen, I'm 43 years old.
Let's make a movie.
Let's make 10 movies.
Yes.
This stuff's fun.
I'm gonna call you when I get that big budget and clout and be like, yo, I got $200.
Well, I got $1,000. What can we do? Who can I buy? Half, all of Nate and 10 other people. One of the things about this, you've got work in the entertainment industry.
Yes.
You do everything out here, and I'm just the dancing chick, and I haven't branched out. I don't get any money for writing or any of the other things you can. Entertainment's a lot of things. It's not just acting and voice work and stuff. So every time I finish a movie, I'm unemployed again.
Right.
But I've got some projects lined up. I've got the shark movie, and man, I'm just so happy. It's such an incredible feeling.
Well, I definitely look forward to see what you do next,
Gus,
man. And thank you for coming today.
I love you, brother.
Love you too, man.
SMA all the way.
Yes.
San Marcos Academy. If anybody's still listening from SMA, man, this is a shout out to all the bears out there.
Green and purple bear.
Green and purple. And, it was an experience we shared. And here we are because of it.
Exactly.
So,